way too early MVP favorite. I think, I've thought about this a lot. I think there's a few guys who can obviously be in the hunt for the MVP next season. But if I had to choose today who the MVP was going to be, I think it's going to be Luka. I think Luka, we saw the pictures. He's looking great. Now, we've been fooled before. I don't think this is that scenario. I think it looks like he's taken his preparation, his work very seriously, and that is going to pay off next season. Not to mention, just even if he didn't, right? Like he's still one of the best players in the NBA. You know what I'm saying? Like you could say what you want about Luka, but Luka, before last season where he got hurt and traded in the same season, blindsidedly traded, might I add. He averaged 34, 9, and 10. Like who does that? 34, 9, and 10. And he led that team to the NBA championship. So, and people were saying he was out of shape then. So, I just don't buy it. But it does look like he's taking his conditioning very seriously. I think his preparation for, Euro basketball is coming up, or FIBA basketball rather is coming up, and it'll be fun to watch him play in that. But I think if there was one player who I would have predicted to be the MVP next season, I think it's going to be Luka because I think he's just going to come out ferociously. I think he's going to come out with a lot to prove, and I think he is going to prove it because he's that caliber of player. And ultimately, whether he wins or not, it'll come down if the Lakers win enough. I think this season in the West is going to be very similar to last season, where it's highly competitive 1 through 8. There's not going to be much separation there. If there is separation there, it's going to be like because OKC won 60, 265 games again. You know what I'm saying? Like that's what it's going to be. But outside of a team winning that much, I think the pack is going to be very close, right? Whether it's 2 through 8, whether it's 3 through 8, what have you. There's going to be a lot of teams around 50-ish games. So if the Lakers could finish with, a top 4 seed, I like Luka's chances. If not, you know, watch out for a Giannis MVP year. Watch out because there's been a few. It felt like Giannis, he could have won MVP any of the past like 4 years since the last time he's won it. You know what I'm saying? Like if we're being real, he's averaged 30, 10, and 6 pretty much every season on high efficiency, high field goal percentage. Um, they haven't always won the most, these past couple seasons through changes, right? They haven't been, top 3 seed or what have you, but he could always win it. But point being, I think this is going to be like a come to Jesus year for the Milwaukee Bucks, right? Like this is really a make it or break it, do or die year for them because they've put all their, chips on the floor. They went and got Miles Turner. They tried to make the best out of a bad situation with the Damian Lillard injury and just surround Giannis with something, a team, any team that he could win with. And I don't know what moves you make, with the cap space you had, with the limited assets you have after this to try and make them championship contenders, especially when you consider Giannis after this season is going to be getting to like 32, 33, 34, in subsequent seasons. So I think this is going to be like a make it or break it year for the Milwaukee Bucks. I think Giannis will play at an extremely high level. So I think my top 2 choices for MVP this coming season would be Giannis or Luka. That's not to say that Joker couldn't get it again because his stats are going to be terrific every season. But I do think this season for Denver, his stats will drop a little bit. And they will drop just because I think they're going to have a way more balanced attack this season. Like they have a very legitimate roster, right? I think Cam Johnson is going to come in and he's going to, give you 18 a game. I think Jamal, as long as Jamal's healthy, he's going to give you what he always gives you, which is like 20 a game. But then you got guys like Bruce Brown, you got guys like Valanciunas who's going to get minutes, right? They've made some strides in deepening their bench, and they just have a very cohesive unit. So I wouldn't be surprised if instead of averaging 30, 10, and 10 like he did last season, maybe Joker averages like 26, 12 and 8 or something like that. So not to say that's still not MVP worthy. It obviously is, but um, the reason I wouldn't pick him to win MVP unless they just won like 60 games is because I think just his stats are going to come down a little bit, and there's still going to be guys, in that hunt who are going to be putting up big numbers. You know what I'm saying? So I wouldn't pick Joker to win it. Wouldn't be surprised if he win it, but I think the front two would be Luka and Giannis, because I think no matter how you slice it, those two are going to still have to do a lot for their teams to win, right? Like I think the Lakers have a good team. Don't get me wrong, but I think Luka's still going to have to be a dominant ball handler and playmaker, and that's going to obviously lend itself to him, putting up big numbers. And I think Giannis similarly, he's going to have more like point forward responsibilities this season, the same way we saw like towards the end of last season when Dame went down, how he had more point forward responsibilities and more shot creation responsibilities. I think that's going to be more this year in its entirety. So I think that'll lend itself to him continuing to put up big numbers and continuing to produce at a high level. So that's why I'd pick those two to win MVP. Other guys, obviously Shea's going to be in the mix again, because I think OKC is going to win, on the low end 55 plus games, right? I would assume more, but on the low end. But I think even him, right? I think him and his team, like, you're paying guys like Jalen Williams and Chet a whole bunch of money now as well. And I think these guys are still growing. So I wouldn't be surprised if his scoring took a dip. Now he's such a natural scorer, taking a dip, like who knows? But I just think, there's only so many shots to be had in the game, and I think there are guys just trying to progress. So I wouldn't be surprised if if even his shot, his scoring goes down to like 28 a game or 27 a game or something like that, just to give more opportunity to guys like Jalen and Chet, let their averages come up and allow them to be more prominent figures in their offense. Could be wrong. No, don't mean I don't know for sure, but if you ask me who the MVP was going to be next season, that's would be my top two choices, and then who knows from there. I do think Cleveland will come out hungry. I don't think Donovan will put up numbers to be in the MVP race. To be honest with you, like it seems like nowadays you have to average insanely eye popping numbers to even be considered for MVP. So I don't know, but I bring up Cleveland because I think Cleveland will probably have a very good regular season again. I think they'll win near 60 games again, just because I think last season probably left a bad taste in their mouth, and they'll want to really push and try and get back to where they were and give themselves another shot. And honestly, start of the season, early predictions, I would pick them to make it to the Eastern Conference Finals next season. I think. What else? Defensive Player of the Year. I think it's if health isn't an issue, then I think Wemby probably has that one in the back, right? Like just his defensive impact and what he brings to the table. It's going to be tough to match for like the next 10 years if we're being real, right? Like if he's healthy each of the next 10 years and he's playing, I'm not saying he's going to win 10 defensive player of the years, but like what is a guy going to have to do to outplay him for a defensive player of the year outside of people just getting tired of voting for him, which is real. We've seen voter fatigue. It does happen. But like outside of that, what do we got to see in order for him not to win it? Because his defensive impact is just going to be so supremely high for the next however many years that he's able to play and be productive on the court, right? Because his mobility is always going to be good. He's going to be able to cover a lot of ground even as he gets older. He's going to get smarter as a defender as he gets older. He's going to get stronger as a defender as he gets older. So even if his defense changes, it's still going to be high level defense. So I think next year's Wemby's year to get that defensive player of the year. If not, I wouldn't be surprised if like Amon Thompson gets it, because I don't think. And the reason I say that is because also good teams get rewarded. You know what I'm saying? And I think Houston will be a top 4 team in the West. And I don't think they'll have like a guy on the MVP watch. I don't know if they'll have guys who, are up for those other awards. Maybe you can do like if Amen has a big breakout season where he averages like 18, maybe he's up for like most improved player. But I think if he takes the step we think he can, I think he could be in the running for defensive player of the year. Obviously, Mobley's going to be back there. Depending on how Miami does, I would like to see Bam get back to that caliber. Not saying he wasn't, just you have to win to, again, winning gets you in the door for some of these awards. So if Miami can figure out a way to win and be more competitive this season, I think Bam will be back there because he's elite defensively every year. So we'll see though. We'll see. I think it'll be a fun season. I'm excited for it to start. You're starting to get to the point in the off season where it's like, my goodness, You know what I'm saying? Let's get some basketball going, whether it's college, NBA, something. Give me something. You know what I'm saying? It's been a little too long now. So we'll see. We'll see what happens, but I'm excited for the NBA season. Until then, we got some stuff going on. You got the TBT tournament going on. If you're a basketball fan, I tend to turn that on the weekends and stuff and watch that. You got the Big Three still going on. The Big Three is always fun to watch. Obviously, the WNBA, the WNBA is high level basketball at its finest. So there's still some ways to get your basketball fix if you need it. Just not the same as the NBA, I guess, unfortunately. But that's it for me, guys. If you need anything, you know where to find me. If you need anything, but if you have any questions, leave them in the comments. Let me know what you're thinking. Let me know if you like the content. Make sure to like, subscribe, tell a friend to tell a friend. This one was tough. This one was tough because there's just not as much to talk about at this point in the off season. But wanted to make sure we shed some light on the WNBA, what's happening over there, touch on some fun stuff that I think is happening in the NBA. Either way, wish you guys the best. Again, like, comment, subscribe, tell a friend to tell a friend, and I'll see you guys next time. Peace.